Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Over Market segment with myself and the wonderful Louise Bedford. And Louise and I were just having a little chat. And I thought, Louise, let me lead the way here on this episode because I want to get this out there. We last episode had a discussion about the 7 reasons why. If you missed that discussion, I highly recommend going back, rewatching that episode to understand why it is we do what we do and what we're trying to get to in the future. And we didn't share it on camera because we were a little skeptical, okay, about what our reasons why was. But we decided to share it with each other after, and you'll find some astonishing results, especially Louise. It's really surprised me. But I wanted to come back on camera here and said, Louise, you've put me on the spot so many times through this Mind Over Market segment. Let me return the favor. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to explain what this 7 reasons why is and what my answer was. And then I'm going to throw the ball over to you, Louise, to give us yours. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Oh my gosh, I feel vulnerable because this is actually a really big self-admission. Do I actually do this to you every week, Jordon? Is this how you feel?
Do. Every week. But look, if you've not heard of the 7 reasons why, I picked it up, and I'm hoping it is Dean Rizzoli that I'm naming here. But I picked it up from him, and it was, you ask yourself, why do you do what you're doing? For example, if you're a trader, likely you are here at Trade Delicious, why are you trading? You know, what's the real reason? And when you ask yourself this question, it's good to do it with someone you trust. Actually have them ask you. Go as deep as you possibly can. Why are you trading? Okay. And really think, why are you trading? And then when you get that answer, ask why again and again and again and again, and do it 7 times until you get to your motto, right? Your reason why. And this was a revelation for me in my career. And I'm going to share with you what my reason why was and put myself on the stake and allow everyone to go, wow, what is wrong with this guy? My reason why, Louise, was I wanted power. Not wanted, sorry, I want. It's still my reason why. But as I went through those 7 questions, I wanted power and control over my life. I didn't want anyone to tell me that I have to be somewhere, have to do this, have to do that. I wanted to be able to make decisions for me and power over that of my whole life. Nothing, not confined to anyone, so to speak. And after going through all that dips, and it's an emotional journey going through those 7 questions too. That's what I landed on. I landed on power, and I've used that as my motivation ever since. Now, that sounds like a power trip, but it's not the way it comes across. It is genuinely, I want the control over my life to live my best life. And that is something I stand by now and use as a motivation. It's completely changed my life. If I'm completely honest, completely changed my life. And then you opened up, Louise, and told me a bit about yours. So I'm going to throw the ball over to you and allow you to be vulnerable on camera here. Talk us through it.
So I want to pick up on your thoughts about power first.
Yeah.
And one of the things from my background is, I'll tell you a little story. My grandmother found me in a cupboard because I could hear my parents fighting, and I hid in a cupboard, and she said, shh, stay here, right? Because it was safe in the cupboard. She knew where I was. And she said, she who makes the gold makes the rules. Now, I was about 8 or 9 at the time, and it has just been fascinating to me, that whole idea about if you are in control, if you have the power, if you're the one calling the shots, you get to make the rules for your own life. And it just really corresponds with what you've said about power. It is designed to strike to that very core of who we are and what keeps us going when we're tired, hungry, lonely, emotional. What is the thing that's going to get you out of bed? So for you, Jordon, power is your aspect. And when I did this exercise, the 7 reasons why, I started out with my mission statement. Now, I'll just give you my mission statement as well, just so that we've really got this clear, that there is no relationship to where I ended up with this discussion. I'm blushing. Oh my gosh. So my mission statement that I wrote when I was 19 years old is to inspire others by leading by example, to create wealth and spread my wealth to those I love and those I choose, and to nurture others to discover their true energy so that they can change the world. So there are a few things, like the true energy is the thing that they can do effortlessly. So I wanted to be the conduit and be the rever-upperer and the person who opens doors and who can see the light in people's eyes and to fan that flame and to spark that joy and to make sure that I can help them get to their logical place of bliss.
Yep.
Okay, so after these 7 whys, it expanded, and it was like to change the world, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and my ultimate why was so that I can have more sex. Now, I'm embarrassed, but I think it was more, and I think as with power for you, I think it was more for what it stood for. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a female in a male-dominated world. I feel that. I do feel that. I feel the vulnerability of that. And I also know that I'm a role model for other women coming after me. So it's in line with my why. It's in line with my mission statement that I'm guessing. And I do think that sex to me means I can bloody do everything. I can have pleasure. I can derive everything that I want out of life. I can give pleasure, and I can actually be more primal. So rather than being so plastic and cement the way we are, I can actually get down to the core of what it means to be human.
I love it. I love it. You have absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. I know you're blushing. It's very vulnerable what you're doing right now, but that is your why. And you're right. It stands for something. You know, my why is power. It stands for something. The same thing you've touched on there. Don't be embarrassed. Don't try and justify it. Don't try and hide it behind some other bigger reason. Wear it. You know, wear it, and that will drive you. And that's what I've found over this past 4 or 5 years since I found out my why of that power. And I look back of how far that's driven me. When I'm in the trenches and I'm like, holy dooly, where are we? What am I doing? How, you know, that is the thing. It is, no, look at the mission. Look at what we're getting. Look at that driving force. And while it might make you giggle, okay, while it might be a little different to what other people, well, might be the same. Who knows, right? Until people have done the activity and willing to share it, I don't think you need to be embarrassed about anything. I can see you blushing a little bit there. It's different being the vulnerable one, right? It's different.
I just know you're going to title this Louise's Confession about sex, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, write that down.
Good title. No, we really should do this with Rich, shouldn't we?
Oh, we should. Yeah, we should. But no, wear it on your sleeve. You know, this is, and props to you for being willing to share that as well. And it's a lot different when you're sitting in the hot seat. But no, I don't think you need to. I noticed a couple of what you've taught me, weasel words, as you were trying to explain it there as well.
True.
I'm like, no, Louise,
yeah.
wear it. That is your ride. Run with it and use that as your superpower, because I've done that since, and I say the same. When I say I want power, I think, God, what are people going to think of me when I say that? You know, they're going to think I'm power hungry, I'm narcissist. Like, where is everyone's head's going to go? And I just thought, it doesn't matter. This is going to drive me to that next level. So let's just use it. And that would be my advice to you, Louise. Just wear it, use it, and run with it, because it'll take you far.
Thank you, Jordon. Lovely, lovely man. There is a lot to be said for what we're doing here. Firstly, having an unreasonable friend. So somebody who can cherish you, but also point out aspects of your own personality that are perhaps not within your conscious awareness, shining that light into your blind spots. And secondly, also, this is to do with the topic, the actual topic that we are going to discuss today, which is what I've spent the last 2 years of researching, which is the strangest research on psychology that we can use to improve our lives as traders. So, Jordon, I know we did hijack that because that's a really juicy topic, and I love where you brought us to. But let's remember what we're aiming to do. The amateur trader gets shoved around between joy and despair. They are on a roller coaster of emotions. They are up, 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 and down, down, down. And I have been there. You have been there. Anybody who has had money in the markets, all of a sudden they realize it takes on a massive level of significance. Whereas when we contrast that with the expert trader refuses to indulge in that joy, despair roller coaster. The aim is to display complete detachment when opening and closing a position and when maintaining all of your portfolio. So I think just keeping in mind that that is the actual goal will stand us in good stead. Now, literally, I have been researching amazingly all of these different psychology-based, evidence-based, science-backed methods, and there have been some really fascinating ones, and I want to start applying them to the trading world, and I'd love your thoughts on this. Now, the first one that I found is the pre-mortem method. Now, I've used this for the last 10 years. It is just such a winner. I'll give you an example of what I've done with the pre-mortem method, and then I'd love to be able to compare this with some of your thoughts about trading, Jordon. Now, what you do, it sounds like it's a disaster, okay, but it's designed to get you thinking in extremes. You sit down with a friend or maybe a group of people, and you imagine that whatever project you're working on, you're 1 year down the track and it has failed miserably. You all hate each other's guts. You just don't want to spend time with each other. Lifelong friendships have been fractured. You owe money. You're about to go to jail. Okay, so we are going the worst case scenario. And then with your friends, you write down why did it go wrong and what can you do to prevent that happening. Now, I'll give you an example where I really implemented this. It was just, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did. Before I started my podcast, Talking Trading, it was about 10 years ago now, we were very early on the scene. There were barely any podcasts. Nobody even knew what a podcast was, but I really, really wanted to do one. I thought it'd be so much fun, and it has been. I sat down with my business partner, Chris Tate, with a financial journalist who became the host for a short while on the podcast, and that financial journalist's partner. And we all really like each other, and we still do. Okay, so it's been a big fat success story. We talked about all the things that could possibly go wrong, and then we wrote down why, and then we wrote down what can we do to avoid it. And it was amazing because every single thing that we wrote down came true, but we had an action plan for every single aspect. We literally just implemented the things that we wrote down on that very first day. We are all still friends. The podcast is a success. It's in the top 1.5% of podcasts around the world, and it's probably my greatest passion project ever. So that pre-mortem method, imagining disaster, backtracking to work out what could go wrong, and how to scaffold your way out of that. And that way you've got that plan. Is this something that you're familiar with, Jordon? Have you looked at the pre-mortem method before?
I've not sat there and actively done it, but I have talked to you about this before because I've heard the story. We've talked in private about that whole process, and I loved the idea of it. I love the idea. I'm getting excited talking about it, but I'm not going to say it because I know you're about to explain what it is. So the only time I've heard of it is through you, Louise.
Yes, yes. So let's have a look and see how we can apply that in the trading arena. So if you're on your trading journey, you don't even have to be a complete beginner. You can do it at any stage. Just imagine in 1 year's time, everything has gone haywire. You didn't follow your plan, your relationships have broken up, you now owe money, you're potentially going to jail. All the things that you have as the darkest thoughts, the things that you never would want to occur, all of that has come true. So now can you work backward and solve each one by one? So Jordon, just to help people here, what would be some of the things that could go wrong in a trader's life?
Yeah, well, everything you've touched on there, I think the immediate response is blowing the account, losing everything you've put in there, your savings. But it can be much worse than that, especially in CFDs in a leveraged world. You can go even worse than your account, right? So you can go right negative. You can owe your broker lots and lots of money, be heavily in debt. The stresses that will come with that can cause you to lose partners, change lives, lose jobs. Yeah, there's a lot that can go around that I think a lot of traders aren't aware of completely.
And let's talk about how we can scaffold those particular areas. Can we take a relationship first? Because I think that is something that has an unforeseen cost with traders. Yep. So some of the things that we could do as scaffolding would be how we've talked before, Jordon, about having a board meeting once a month with your spouse, having a trading plan that both of you can agree upon, that if you lose a certain percentage of both of your money, then, so an if-then statement, then I will stop entering new positions and I will consult a higher authority. So that's an example as to how to provide scaffolding in relation to what could be a disaster. Let's take up your view about shattering an account. Jordon, how could we help people scaffold so they don't experience that eventuality?
Very much the same thing. Going down, having an if-then statement. I love that. I love the way you've worded that as well. Having maximum drawdowns, maybe having people hold you accountable to that, give your account details at least, or to view it, a higher authority that is going to hold you accountable, be like, hey, you lost 20 grand, pull that out. Whatever that might look like. There's a lot of different risk management techniques I think you can kind of implement to ensure at least as you move through these lower levels or the position sizing, you're consciously aware of what you're doing. And if you can have someone else that maybe has a big red stop button, because some people can get carried away through their own risk management, I think that's a great way of implementing there.
I'm loving that. Some of the aspects that you can apply are often the simplest. The complicated views about how to fix these problems are often ones that you're not going to remember, let alone implement. So the simpler you can make your instructions to yourself, the better. Yeah. Let's look at some of the research as well that I think can assist with traders. One of them is self-worth psychology. Now, this was a study in 2011 by Harbour and a whole heap of other researchers. Now, what they did is they took tarantulas. Now, even just looking at that spider just gives me chills, Jordon. Just, oh my goodness. They took a whole heap of arachnophobes, people who were scared about spiders, and they put them near a spider, just on the kitchen countertop, crawling towards them bit by bit. Yes, pleasant. And they said to those people, how far away is that spider? Now, previously they'd measured their self-worth. How did these people think about themselves? They found that people with the highest levels of self-worth evaluated that threat, the spider, as being further away. And the people with lower self-worth thought the spider was closer. Now, I'm trying to give you the research and then we're going to adapt it for trading.
Yeah.
So this concludes that if we can boost our self-worth, we can evaluate threats more clearly. We can put them in their proper position. We can be more objective and deal with it with clarity. So if we can actually tweak our self-worth upward as a trader, we are going to be better in the markets because of that threat reduction in our own psychology. Now, I definitely would feel the same feelings about that spider as I would about the markets. That increased heart rate, that flood of adrenaline, that cortisol flowing through my system, they are almost comparing the same thing. We have a fear that things can go wrong. Therefore, if we can increase our self-worth, we can see that fear more objectively. Are you scared of spiders, Jordon?
No.
That's a shame because I have one here. No, I really don't. I would never be that close to a spider.
No, I'm okay with spiders. That's not like I don't like them crawling on me, but I'm not. Yeah, had too many experiences with them.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good for you. My daughter, when she was 2 years old, she says, "Spider, spider." And I thought, what is that hanging out of your mouth? And she'd bitten a spider in half, leg hanging out of her mouth.
Oh,
I
lovely.
was fine with spiders up until then, and then that kind of set me off. So increasing self-worth with everything that you're doing with Trade Delicious is a real key here. And I do think that is one of the more interesting pieces of research. So boost your self-worth. You're more likely to evaluate threats rather than jump at your own shadow. Now, I also wanted to talk about meditation. Now, a lot of people think meditation is the cure all. We know with meditation, it can be something as simple as taking 3 controlled deep breaths. We know that meditation can be as complicated as going on a meditation retreat for 10 days in silence. So we're talking about all of this, anything between 3 breaths and 10 days of silence. That's what we're discussing with meditation. Now, the thing is, and I don't know whether everybody will agree with this, but I do think meditation has had a lot of hype. Everybody talks about the importance of meditating. They think that it's the cure for everything, whether you're trying to improve your trading, whether you're trying to get to sleep. Now, I have to say, and some of the research suggests that this is not the case. So I want to provide a controversial counterpoint to this. For around about 17%, according to some of the studies, around about 17% of people respond negatively to meditation. They actually have the exact opposite occur in their body. They also, unfortunately, after being forced to meditate, they're more likely to suffer from anxiety and depression. So I want you to take this on board. If you're the type of person that has tried meditation, you've done the Calm app, you've tried Headspace, and it's only exacerbated your internal feelings of panic, you are in a minority, but you are in an esteemed group of people who feel the same way. It is not a mandatory part of trading effectively. You don't have to be a good meditator to do this well, but I do suggest that everybody learns to take a simple communication, such as the Hank Weisinger method of breathe slower. That's on my board just behind the computer here. Breathe slower, because that can give you clarity. Doesn't mean you have to be a brilliant meditator. Jordon, do you meditate at all?
No. No, I don't. I've done it. I've tried it. I didn't see it improved a whole lot of things. Right. I personally, I gave it a red hot crack. I did.
Yes.
I gave it a red hot crack and tried it. And I just thought, as I was doing it, I was like, I just don't think this is for me. So I didn't. But it goes back to that few episodes what we discussed, that one word mantra. And you asked what mine was, and it would be calm. So before I go in, calm. Execute. I didn't need to, and I'll trade that way. I didn't need to sit there for half an hour and go through my thoughts. I didn't see an improve. I didn't see a drop in performance either when I did some meditation and stuff, and I didn't see an increase in anxiety or anything along those lines. But I did realize as I was meditating that majority of the time I would just be thinking about work. I'd be thinking about ideas. I'd be thinking, that self-talk would be in there going, Jordon, you're wasting time. You could be in a meeting right now. Like, what are you doing? So meditating wasn't for me. I gave it a red hot crack and an honest crack, and it wasn't for me, and I don't meditate.
Well, you may be in that 17% of people. So it can be something that I think people have to try out for themselves. They really do. These aspects are not one size fits all. We are also individual. Every piece of advice and every concept that Jordon and I are bringing about, you really need to try them for yourself and see. Don't take the lazy way out and not try, because I've given you a little scape there.
Yeah.
But definitely give it a go and see what it does to you. It's not only your results, but it's also how you feel in your own body. These are the things that can make a difference, and they may not. So it's a good thing to have that toolkit. I want to cover. Sorry.
I just think on that note as well, don't take the lazy way out. For any of you that are thinking, oh yeah, I'm part of that 17%, I don't need to meditate, try it. honestly, give it an honest try. In life, we get given opportunities, and if you don't take them or know, then you'll never find out. And in about 10 years' time, you'll look back and go, oh, I wish I'd just tried that. You know what I mean? So with that meditation, give it a red hot crack. Give it a go. If you don't like it, what's the worst that happens? Carry on as the way you were. What's the best that happens? You do like it. It improves your performance. There's nothing to lose. Give it a go. Don't take the lazy way out.
Yeah, I love that. I did do a meditation retreat, and it was very good. It was something that I still flick back to, and it was in Bali, and it was silent, which is hard for me, Jordon. I hope you understand how hard that is for me. But I do find myself flicking back to that in my mind, and harmonizing with nature is where I get a lot of my peace from. So that is something that I feel can work as well. Now, I wanted to cover another piece of research which involves some little rats. Now, rats I don't find as repellent as spiders, but a lot of our research about psychology originates from the rat world. My goodness. So with these little rats, what they did, and this is quite a nasty little experiment, but it's one that's quoted a lot. So these little rats, they took them in the 1950s and they plonked them into a bucket. People were much harsher in the 1950s, I believe. I'm going with that. They put them in a bucket, 1 bucket per rat, and they timed how long it took for them to sink. So these poor little rats took 15 minutes to drown. Then they took a new rat, because they'd blown through the first few. They took a new rat, plonked it in a bucket, and at about the 14-minute mark, took it out of the bucket, dried it all off, wrapped it in a blanket, gave it something to eat, made it feel calm and warm and safe, and then took those same rats that had been just wrapped in that blanket and plonked them back into the bucket. So let's see what happened here. The rats that had been plonked back in the bucket after being given a bit of love, they didn't just die after 15 minutes. They swam for 60 hours. 60 hours. It's one of the most definitive pieces of proof that this rat had hope. They thought somebody was going to come and rescue them again. They had felt what it had felt like to think that they're going to give up, but then somebody saved them. So they kept on going and going and going, and they went by an order of magnitude much longer than those first little poor rodents that died first off. So horrible experiment, I know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in the 50s we really should be ashamed of as experimenters in the 50s. Goodness me, what in the hell? I won't even go into the Harlow experiments. But this experiment, I think, does have an interesting side effect for traders. We need to generate hope. We need to find things that give us a laugh, that make us realize that we're part of humanity, that give us a buzz, some things that we really enjoy doing, because without that, we are just that little rat without hope, and we will drown in the markets. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the role of hope for a trader, and what can we do to generate hope so that we can continue to trade the markets another day.
Tough. As a key example in that experiment, hope was given by a taste of what's to come. So in trading, obviously we can have profits here and there, maybe cash that out, feel what that real money is, to give you hope that can continue. But then that can also enforce a lot of bad habits that you don't want in trading. So it's a tough cycle to go through. That hope, for me, what we're talking about here goes back to the reason why, right? And really imagining what your life looks like 10, 20, 30 years. And when I'm low on morale, when I'm not performing or whatever, it's that drives me. It's that power. It's that, hey, what does a perfect day look like in the future? A few episodes ago, we touched on that. What does a perfect day look like in the future? Envisioning that That's my hope. And that's why I'll get back up and I'll do it again. And I'll get punched in the face and I'll get back up and I'll do it again. I'll get punched in the face and I'll do it again. And that is my driver of why I'm not drowning after 15 minutes and why I'm paddling water for 60 hours.
I'm loving it. And even something as simple as getting a cup of coffee in a hotel foyer where you can't actually afford to stay there yet, but you can walk in as if you own the place and you can have a cup of coffee in that foyer, look around, see that these are the people that you're associating with now because you're elevating your level, and you can enjoy every single moment of it. That glimpse into a future self can give you hope. So I'm loving this, Jordon. I think we should do another episode on this type of research because it can really help traders excel. Yet again, you have blown me away. And thank you, Jordon, for your compassion and kindness.
You were the one that opened up today, Louise. So thank you to you. But no, it's been a pleasure. Let's do it again.
Join us in the next episode of Mind Over Markets. And who knows what we both will be confessing at that stage, to be revealed.